Ho ho ho! Merry Christmas, young summoners! Young boys and girls around the world, I hope you found something amazing in your stockings and underneath your trees, unless you celebrate a different holiday. So in that case, a non-denominational greetings towards you, and I hope you have a pleasant day or something, or go to the movies. I don't care what you guys do. But now that voice is over, hey folks, Studio here. Happy holidays, happy solstice, Merry Kwanzaa. I mean, all of those pleasant words, happy, merry, joyous, and all those holidays of various sorts, solstice, Christmas, Hanukkah, Kwanzaa, just all of them, just kind of combine them. Because frankly, you shouldn't just have a Merry Christmas. You should have a happy Christmas, a joyous Christmas, an amazing Festivus. You want all the pleasantness to really be combined. And because of that pleasantness, we're going to be going ahead and looking at a non-pro replay. Now, there's some things to talk about, but this is going to be more of a fun, chillax game. I hope you guys will enjoy it because, man, crazy shit happens. And you know what? Crazy shit rules. That's my opinion of crazy shit. Hell yes. Now, I just want to very quickly say, psych, and I think mentality are two of the big things that really hit people in game. So my favorite thing is when you see someone at low HP, you see that guy at 100 HP, you see that guy who's got 50 HP left, 50 HP, and he's running away from you, and you're going to try and catch him. What commonly happens? How often do you see someone get away with 50 HP? And like obviously you get the kill sometimes, but finding out when to disengage is an incredibly difficult thing to do. A lot of people do not have that skill in a sense. Like they see the kill, they go for the kill, and a lot of it is you get psyched up. You're just like, I can kill him, I can get that guy, I can get that, yeah. But sometimes you can't, and sometimes you get so hyped up, and then sometimes you die, and you feel bad, and you gotta frown, you gotta let out a big old frown. But always remember, if you make a mistake, learn from it. If you don't get a kill, then figure out why you didn't have the damage. Figure out, like, alright, why did that character get away from me? Was the move speed? Did they have ability spells? Was I, a Soraka chasing a Kassadin? That's probably why he got away. At the same time, it's like, what if you didn't have anything that could back him up? Figure out what mistake you made to let him get away. We'll start with that as our basis for this replay, because a lot of crazy shit happens besides that. We're going to be staying on direct camera for the most part. Go ahead and give you guys a nice closer personal look. Let's go ahead and introduce the players, because since these guys are not in pro teams, they could use a bit more introduction. We've got Man What on Jarvan the Fourth, Wixen01 on Garen, Lieutenant Ward on Fizz, Nuno, I'm just going to call him Volibear for the most part, on Volibear, Doc Kristoff on Alistar, Dragon Ultimus on the Nunu, Horde Demon on the Olaf, Fluky Alpha. I thought it was Funky Alpha, then Funky Alpha. Funky Alpha would have been a great name, but Fluky Alpha on Sona. The Awakened One with the most whiny name ever. That's such a generic name. I'm just going to hate on you for a bit. On Rise, and of course, Infamous B. Big fan of Infamous B. Now, let's start this out. What's missing on the teams? This team is missing an AD carry. The closest thing they have to an AD carry is Volibear. And Garen, kinda. I mean, maybe Jarvan. They're really AD casters. Volibear at least has an incentive to go for a lot of attack speed. Jarvan, I guess, has the attack speed buff, but it's not enough. What is this team missing? Look for the smite. Look for the smite. It is not there. Olaf is going top with Sona to back him up. They're running double support. Well, double twos lanes, I guess. I was going to say support AD. This is a support AD lane, but Olaf is not necessarily your traditional AD. Now, let's talk about making the most of a good situation. What are they going to go ahead and do over here on red team's side? I'm going to call them the Fluky Alphas, because I actually really like the word fluky. The Flukies, they want to go ahead and just harass Garen like crazy. Garen, they need to mess up. Bottom lane, they just want to farm or go for kills, but this is a Alistar Volibear lane. So this is an aggressive lane that is not starting out well. Doc Kristoff face checks a bush. You never want to face check those early brushes, because what if they are camping in it? I mean, that was Alistar Volibear. Who the hell camps against an Alistar Volibear bot lane? But you know what? They caught Alistar out of position. They got a lot of damage early on. That can really set up quite a bit for them. And I gotta give spunk to blue team. I'm gonna call him Team Goon, because Team Goon, they've got spunk. Look at this. Look at this just aggressive action. He just runs towards Kog'Maw. He doesn't have his toss, he has his slow, doesn't land his slow, and he doesn't stop. He gets exhausted, has to flash out his passive, saves him. Well, it doesn't save him, but it does get him a bit of HP. And that was what I would call a learning experience. Like, I just want to comment on that. I bring this up often. You need to go ahead and do crazy aggressive things to learn something. I'm guessing that Gino and Doc Christoph have not played Alistair Volibear that many times in the past. So by having Volibear go in what I would normally call is completely insane and just careless with that engagement, at the same time, he's also testing the limits. He survived for a long-ass time against that Nunu Coglin. He didn't just die. A lot of characters would have just died there, but against that lane composition, he knows, well, I can rush in and just survive. Now, obviously, you shouldn't do this all the time, and I don't know if he did that only against that lane composition. He might have gone aggressive, like against Ezreal, Leona, for example, but now he learned, he can do that. So always play aggressive, like always learn, always push yourself to the limit. And you know what, you're going to die a few times, you're going to be forced to flash away, but you can learn stuff. Yeah, I just want to give that quick interlude. Because they're about to do something really, really funny. I just want to preempt this. This is a gank that's going to fail in multiple ways. I just want to let you guys watch this. Now this gank isn't over yet. There's a counter gank going on. The level 1 Sona counter gank, a very effective counter gank, well known for its potential to go ahead and snipe fizzes underneath their own turret. What are you doing, Camera? What are you doing? What the hell? Because, okay, here we go, Sona. She's going to go ahead, flash forward, get the kill. Use the Ignite. No, she doesn't have Flash, she has Ghost. She ghosted to get there, her Ignite. She couldn't get in range to do it, and she just died there. But I want to talk about that kill underneath the turret really quickly, because I think that's an important kill. This is a kill. These are deaths that happen quite a bit. So, man, what? He's going to make a mistake. This is a technical error. This is a mistake where he just pressed his banner a bit too far forward and got too close to the turret. That's a mistake where he misjudged the distance. That's something he knows what he did wrong, he can improve on. That's the obvious stuff. But what about this? What about what happens here? This is just, I want to say, just like they get psyched out. They get too into the gank. They're like, all right, we can get Ryze. Ryze still has his flash up. Doesn't have his Ignite up, but he's still in a position to fight, and they blow so much chasing him. I mean, right now, really runs forward, stops the CS for a bit, and just gets obliterated by the tower because he still had that low base HP from only having his passive to keep him alive from that earlier fight. Now, that's not mechanical error. That is just going in too deep. That's just following up. This is something that a lot of people run into. They will follow up on situations they shouldn't. And it's very easy to say, well, follow up on the situations you should follow up on, yeah. But don't be trained to always go all in. Going all in is a great idea sometimes. Sometimes you have to say, balls out, let's take a risk, let's go in, let's do our thing. Quite often, though, it's suicide. And you have to be careful about that. You have to make sure you don't go insane. You don't let that big risky play happen. Wixen, I don't think, realized just how much damage Olaf could do right there. So just auto attacks. Now, back to this bot lane. This bot lane, I really like what they do. Like, they just keep going ham. And it's not a good idea for quite a bit of this. I mean, Doc Christoph has 2 CS. And he's been in bot lane the entire time because he got zoned out. Oh yeah, Olaf died of the turret. Forgot about that. I don't even... It's more embarrassing than this sort of thing, because the creeps die, and he just does not retreat. But, they go ham non-stop. They're going aggressive non-stop, and with that aggression, well, they're just trying to like learn their boundaries, learn how far they can go, and then they go for this big old fight here. This fight is kind of the same thing happening again. They go all in for the gank. Reno runs forward, has no HP, gets blown up, and they're still trying to fight Nunu now. And guess what? That lets Kog'Maw get a double kill. Jarvan can't quite secure the kill onto Nunu, and does chase him down and does get him very low. But it was still a 1-for-2 exchange with a jungle gank. So it was a 3v2. With a lane designed to get early kills, and they went 1-for-2. A lot of it was they took too much poke in lane, and they committed all in. And if this is something that is true of the AD lane at any point, it's very, very shaky. AD carries deal a lot of burst damage, and you have to make sure you just don't commit too much. For example, here, Man 1 doesn't have any more mana to cast his spells, and he's going to die. Because he went He went all in again. And he didn't have mana for anything, and he was also being outleveled by the Nunu, who also has a lot of AP, which that's something you should double check too. Make sure you check to see the stats of the enemy summoners. Now, they do get this little catch on the Kog'Maw though, and the exact same thing happens. This time the Fizz dies trying to chase towards Nunu. Another kill goes to Kog'Maw. Fizz did not have his flash up. They're going on to Nunu now. Nunu, though, I mean, he's going to be able to walk out. Doc Kristoff doesn't have a point into headbutt. That's actually the first time I noticed that. I think he went extra sustained because he was dying or having so much trouble in lane, and Nunu's able to go ahead to secure another kill 1-for-1. So this is, I'd say, the best example I've ever seen of people just going in too deep. And it's super fun to do it. It's awesome as hell to man up and do things like that. But you gotta realize, I mean, sometimes those moments you man up, sometimes you just gotta back off. Sometimes you have to say, we're not gonna get this. Or if we are gonna get this, it's gonna suck when we do, because we're gonna lose so much more in exchange. Now, I do like this from Doc Kristoff. He realizes if he tries to go out there, Ryze, I mean, he activated his ultimate. He will destroy him. So he's trying to waste his time. He has the headbutt up. He doesn't have mana for both a headbutt and a pulverize, though. So part of it is he needs to use his potions. Always remember to use your potions when you do have them in your inventory, especially in a situation like this. But he's trying to find this situation where he can bait out. So, like, you know, here Ryze walking forward. What does this let him do? Land the pulverize and then start to walk out. But Jarvan has shown up, and they're going to make the same mistake they did before, except with awesome synergy. We're gonna watch that again in slow motion, by the way. I just want to say that was the best headbutt I've ever, like, it wasn't necessarily Manwood's fault. It wasn't necessarily Doc Kristoff's fault, but it was so desynergized in every way. Let's not watch a replay of that. But this is the basis of this game for Blue Team, for the Goon Team. They're going aggressive. They're going all in. I mean, Jarvan's camping bottom lane, which means Garen up top. He's missing a lot of CS because he's in 1v2 lane, and, I mean, he's just getting beaten up. The bot lane, they keep going for these aggressive plays where they're going this far forward into the enemy lane, and they just don't have the levels or HP. This is a lane that works like a Blitzcrank Alistar lane, where Alistar can headbutt pulverize, or Volibear can run up and fling, and then they're supposed to, you know, burst someone down really quickly. But they didn't pack the masteries for it. They don't have the damage for it. And for example, Volibear here, like, he's trying to set something up. He was trying to set something up for Fizz, so that was intentional. But they just can't. Like, they're just not on the same page. They're just like, all right, go for a gank now, fight now, fight right now. That's not working. The good news is Fizz is really good at killing AD carries, so it works out. Now, this is not a one-sided game. This is a game that will have a lot of dynamic changes coming. Don't worry. But the very early game, it's just Nunu cleaning up after everybody, or Kog'Maw getting massive amounts of kills. They do win this fight top lane, as a Sona accidentally power chords a minion, but she's still able to go ahead and try and chase down. Can't you get him? Can't you get him? Yes, because Ryze is there. And that was a weird situation. So we saw the bot fight. We saw that crazy aggression. Let's look at this fight up top. Let's look at that fight up top with a bit more context than Jarvan standing outside a brush that Sona was watching. So this is a valid way to try and save a 1v2 lane, gank it. I mean, in this case, this is a bad situation because Garen's really far, but like he'd already died and was super far behind. But in a 1v2 situation, ganking it's effective because jungler will be the same level as the people they're up against, and usually the solo lane is the same level or higher. So, you know, if they get a good burst on someone like Olaf, they can shred him pretty quickly. And they have a lot of CC between Garen and Jarvan, and Olaf doesn't have that much mana. So that's the first thing they do. They initiate onto Olaf, they just get the burst down. They're not able to save or keep Garen alive in HP, and then Garen has to run. Note that Garen does flash into the brush. A lot of people do that as a safety measure. In this case, had he flashed towards his base, that might have been enough. Sona, I mean, she did activate her ghost, but she doesn't have boots. Neither does Garen, but he does have his Q for move speed. He might have been able to survive. And then we get this funky little chase. Because now it's Sona chasing the Garen, Jarvan chasing the Sona, and Ryze coming here to ruin everybody's fun. Which he will do right now. And it's kind of the same deal as before, but this one is more of a map awareness thing. Now, this is a big problem when people leave the mid lane. I've especially seen. So, I mean, Manwet now is in a godly position. The Awakened one, he's just going to rise all over him. Can you see it? The flash does save him, though. But that's, you know, a problem I see a lot of people have. When someone is in mid lane making MIA calls, everything is nice and dandy. It's like, you know, the mid laner is gone, you know, you're in a good position. When you have someone like Fizz roam to bottom lane, by the way, check out this funny fight. Volibear, no! When you have someone like Fizz, who roams bottom, people tend to forget that MIA call when the other mid laner disappears. Ryze could have shown up bottom for a fight, Ryze could have shown up top for the fight, but that's because no one was watching it. So, I'm going to put this on you, the viewer at home. Even if you don't know what's going on, even if you can't really, like, if your map awareness isn't good, get it good enough, watch that minimap at all times, and see if the enemy mid laner disappears. Because if they do, if the enemy mid laner does disappear like that, you know, maybe you can give the warning. Maybe Garen would have just ran off and died, Jarvan could have just backed off, and it wouldn't have been a problem. Now, I'm going to give you the basis for the rest of this game. Here's Kog'Maw. Look at Kog'Maw, be a very nice little Kog'Maw. He's very, very voidy and oozy and gross. He gets comp, though. He gets hit by the ultimate. He doesn't have his flash available. He'd already used the Void Ooze to try and farm, and he just gets blown up. Now, realize this Kog'Maw's 542 with 25 CS, which is not a lot, but he does have 3,400 gold at the 9-minute mark compared to the rest of the Goon team, which has nothing. They have like 2,500 on one guy who's been dying a lot. Despite the fact that Goon team is incredibly far behind in like every aspect, they still have a very, very cool teamfight team. They have a crapload of bursts. They have, you know, 2 assassins between Fizz and Jarvan. Garen does a lot of AoE damage and has a lot of assassination potential. Volibear can initiate, do a lot of AoE damage. Volibear is a weird character because he kind of does everything, and his itemization suggests that. But like they have potential across the fight. They can get these good picks off. They just have to make sure they start fights on their terms. We saw that really good catch on the Kog'Maw because he did use his ultimate. The chase onto Olaf did not work out, and this is kind of that one thing I talked about, that aggressive dive thing I talked about. But as you can see, you know, they're able to fight. They're able to, you know, kind of keep at it, and they didn't lose that fight terribly. Nunu's level 8 versus a level 6 Fizz and level 6 Volibear and level 6 Jarvan. Manwet does get taken out, though. He does get to dunk, though. Hell yeah. But this is one of those moments where, I mean, I'd say 90% chance Goon team would lose in a game like this. And it would not even be close to a fight. It would just be a massacre stomp. You'd see Jarvan's blood all over the place. Fizz gets cooked into a meal and served to Kog'Maw. So does Volibear, for that matter. Lots of food available on the Goon team. But you have to have faith. You have to be just willing to keep at it, even when it seems like it's the worst, shittiest situation ever. Like, watch this fight here. Like, Volibear can still 1v1 Kog'Maw. He's still a mean, nasty bruiser. Like, he can't necessarily survive after 1v1ing Kog'Maw. He's probably gonna die. Nope, passive saves him. But he has that potential. He has that strength. Nunu will probably be able to kill him, though, because he used Exhaust and Snowball, and now... Oh! Nope, Fizz. And Fizz does briefly save his life. So, what happens afterwards? Nunu gets assassinated. Now we have Manwet coming in. Fizz does get taken down. Manwet trying to go ahead 1v2. Not going to work out well. No. But watch the burst. Watch the burst that they deal onto Nunu. One sec. That was a few seconds too early. Let's go back to here. That is Volibear chase. I'm using Rewind a lot because it's really important to notice how just very quickly people die right now. This is more of a thing specific to Season 3 with the item changes. When Nunu gets ulted, right now he has a lot of HP. He has a Sunfire Cape. He has 800 HP. And very quickly, from 700, just watch his HP on the bottom left. They stack their burst and deal about 600 damage instantly. That is a long cooldown execute used. And that was actually more than 600 damage because I believe Garen still had a bit more damage left into him. But they have their burst potential, they have their assassination potential. They can win team fights. Now, obviously, item builds are not optimized across the board. For example, Ryze has Mejai's, Kog'Maw, well, he still needs to get some items, so can't really judge him. Olaf has Berserker's Greaves, which is not really recommended because you want cooldown boots for the damage because of Axe Spam, or you want tanky boots just to be tankier. Possibly swiftness, actually. Maybe, maybe not. But still, the potential is there. Goon Team, they can still do stuff. I mean, obviously, the Flukies, they are really, really far ahead still. There's no doubt about that. You always have to respect that. You always have to show that, all right, even if a team looks like they can do well, if they're behind, they're still behind. But you know what? They could still set up these ganks on the Awakened One. They can still try and be beefy bruiser team, and if the enemy team doesn't stop them, they're going to be able to win team fights. Now, a lot of this is catching people out of position, and you're just going to say, well, I mean, that doesn't happen every game, but it happens in a lot of games. If you see that one guy out of position, take that chance if you're behind and just try to fight him, try to take him out. Now you'll note that Jarvan did also trap Alistar in there, but they're still picking up these kills. They're still going, this was not just 1 for 1. This was 2 for 1. And so to miss the roll, now it's 3 for 1. And this isn't pro level gaming. I'm not going to try and admit that. But how often do people kind of wander into those situations? I mean, Sona is doing what the Goon Team did all game long. That was Sona rushing forward, had the Ghost on, going for that one last kill. Probably wouldn't have gotten out of there, but still, that was the goal. Go for that kill, and this happens so much. Always be willing to exploit that fact. I'm sorry, Volibear. I'm sorry. But Volibear is able to survive, able to tank, able to go ahead and waste enough time for Kog'Maw not Kog'Maw, but for Fizz and Garen to show up. And can Fizz and Garen take out this Kog'Maw? Can they take out this Kog'Maw? Yeah. Yeah, they can. It's still a 1 for 1, though. So now the Goon Team, they're only behind 3,000 gold. They're getting a lot of kills themselves. This makes no sense. And I'm looking at the item build, and it still makes no sense. I mean, no one really does that much damage. No one's a super high bursty character, but they're also tanky. And the way they start these fights, they just go for someone. Which, alright, not going to recommend that every time, but they just see someone out of position, they send 3 guys at him. And if the guy doesn't respond, they get a kill. If the guy does respond, he might escape, or they might still get that kill. And this is just their position. Just keep going non-stop. For example, here, instead of trying to clear the creep wave, just go for him. Just attack him. And does it work out? Kind of. It stops the push for a little bit. Is it able to... And they just keep fighting, they just keep chasing. Now, this is a really smart fight. Sona doesn't have her ultimate up because she tried to use it for that kill earlier. What can she do to escape? Nothing. So that's another free pick off. That's another free kill. And now it's a 3v3 mid, or a 3v3 bot. Jarvan has no HP. Flash from Rise, gets the prison. Can he get the kill? Gets snowball. They just go for it. He just dunks in there, keeps him trapped. Fizz just getting his auto attacks off. They're winning these fights. Kog'Maw's still alive, though. Is it going to be enough to win this fight? Can they go ahead and take this engagement out? Well, Kog'Maw's still only at the 15-minute mark. He's fighting bruisers. He doesn't get a triple kill, though. But, as you can see, this is not a done deal yet. These are incredibly weird fights. That was Sona being caught before the fight even started, but that's all that they've been doing on Goon Team, going for these big catches. Rest in peace, Nunu. Or rest in peace, Volibear. That Nunu, by the way, is a champ 8-3-10. That Nunu, I mean, his snowballs don't really hurt that much because he only has that 26 HP from or AP from his masteries, but he still has a Sunfire. He's a tanky ass Nunu. He's going Sunfire, Cape, Warmox. I think if he gone Wodo, they might have won this game, or just a lot of AP. But as you can see, the gold difference means so much less. I mean, people are still squishy. Olaf now has a Thornmail. Olaf is relatively tanky. Yeah, but in the end, Olaf is only one person. That is a classy-ass kill. That is what Sona was looking for earlier. Fuck yeah, said Sona. Which is respectable. But in the end, there are games you will play where you will say the same thing. It's like, we won our lanes, but we lost. We had a better team comp, but we lost. Why did we lose? And well, the truth is, you can have a 20,000 gold lead, but if you get into a bunch of 1v3s, and then 2v3s, and then 2v5s, you're going to lose the game. Now, the 4v4 is being fought out by Goon Team. You have to realize this isn't a weak team right now, early on. This is a team that is in a terrible, terrible position. Did not mean to be following Alistar still. It's a team in a terrible, terrible position late game, but they still have a lot of burst early game. This is a team that does need to win very early on. But look at that. Look at that sweet initiation. Kog'Maw gets silence, can't really escape, takes a lot of damage, and okay, he might have been able to back off sooner, he might have been able to get out of there, and the fact that he doesn't have any move speed from his items besides the boots is definitely hurting him. But, you know, if your opponent has a weakness, exploit it. Now, if you are Fluky's team, what do you need to do? Well, you can just kind of wait it out. Apparently, Nunu can just solo everybody, as he's currently doing. But, you know, the rest of the team, like, if they just wait till Ryze gets farmed, till Kog'Maw gets farmed, they're fine. They're good. Great spot. Hell yeah. But if they keep going for these big man fights that we've been seeing non-stop, well, I mean, Volibear just picked up the kill. It is a 2-for-1 in the end. Because Sonus picked up the kill. But they can be in a dangerous position if they don't let this game go on too long. That's something you don't hear very often. It's just like, they have to make sure that they're playing cautiously, playing defensively. If you were on the Fluky's team, the red team, how would you deal with this? Tell them. Tell them, don't just go for everything. Tell them just like, let's sit back and farm. Kog'Maw only has 80 or 51 CS. That's not a lot for the 18-minute mark. He's got a lot of kills, but he's also got a lot of deaths. The fact that he's not constantly getting stronger, it's showing. Now, ultimate used by Olaf, but unfortunately for Fizz, he uses ultimate too early. Always know the duration of your ultimates. For example, Olaf's, he actually changes his duration. It goes from 6, 7, 8, or 5, 6, 7, I believe, for duration. So the ultimate does get a longer duration, and you got to make sure you don't go ahead and use ults like that too early. Now, top lane, Ryze trying to fight. Bot lane, Kog'Maw getting cut out. And this is the story of blue team. Now, Kog'Maw, we can go ahead and criticize how he reacts. By the way, Manwhat's not actually there. There we go. Now he's there. Manwhat more or less lets Jarvan approach him. And he does trade a turret for his own life, but that may not be worth it. Turret for life is a weird thing right there. Because, alright, you took a turret, you died in response, it's more gold, but, you know, now they can go ahead and push, now they can try and 3v1 this Nunu, and not really deal as much damage as you think they would. It took a long, long time. So even though Kog'Maw did take a turret, he lost a turret in response, and Nunu died trying to defend it. I think he might have also not been paying attention when he went back to lane. Which, please pay attention when you go back to lane. Team comps are a funny thing, though. We do have our definition of the standard meta. We do have our ideas of this is what it takes to win the game. You need these characters and these roles, and the truth is, that is something that, I mean, it's not even technically needed for the competitive scene. And it's something that is definitely easier to access. The reason people go for standard meta is because more people know it. If you tell someone, let's go for a kill lane bot, and you want to pick, like, let's just say Jarvan Leona, for example, which was used a lot by Goose back in the day, which is now Fear. If you tell that to someone, they're just going to be like, well, I don't know how you play, I don't know how aggressively you play, I don't know when to initiate, I don't know that well enough. And the thing with the AD carry bot lane, the standard meta we have right now, is people know it. People see it all the time in streams. It's approachable. There are other options besides standard meta. Standard meta is just the easiest to do. Rest in peace, Manwhat. Now, this is a 4v4. This is a balanced fight. What goes wrong here? What is the big problem for the Fluky team? I'm just going to let this fight play out. There is a fight going on to the northwest with Alistar and Olaf. And Fluky team does come out ahead, but they lost the beginning of that engagement, and a lot of this, well, this is one of those fun team fights to break down, where a lot is going on at once, but it's not necessarily obvious. So go ahead, get off direct camera. So we'll slow this down and start. So it all starts with Manwhat being caught out right here, with Ryze going for the flash, getting a lot of damage onto him and trying to take him out. And this is kind of what we saw before. Here's Kog'Maw Nunu. They're kind of split off by Fizz Garen. Well, Nunu not really, but Kog'Maw definitely. And we still have these two people chasing in, only going for Jarvan. Finally, Ryze turns. Now Sona's still going for Jarvan. And now they're in this danger position. because Rise is taking a lot of damage on his own. He has no one to protect him. Kog'Maw can finally get to the fight, but by the time he gets into a position, he's put himself in a terrible position because he doesn't really have a place to retreat to. Also, he didn't use Bioarcane Barrage, so probably want to activate that. And Nunu also got split from Kog'Maw. You know, he could have stuck with him, but he was still going around to save Rise. So they had this chase, this focus to try and take down Manwë, which they do. They do successfully do it. And the rest of the team, in trying to, you know, escape and trying to go ahead and take him out, you know, it split off the rest of the team. So now Kog'Maw Nunu couldn't chase down. They were put in a bad position, and that's a space issue. How could they have solved that? Well, part of it was Nunu needed to stick with Kog'Maw, just go through here and like rush in there because he has 1 million HP, he has 3,000 HP, he has Warlock Sunfire Cape. Goddamn. And with that, Kog'Maw could have, you know, tried to come in, try to have a big meat shield in front of him. You know, Nunu could have ulted right there and protected Kog'Maw, and at least keep him alive for a few more seconds. And that's kind of like, I'd say, the idea of AD carries in a situation like that. Because Kog'Maw, he could have had a chance to auto-attack over the wall. That would have been his best option, to go to this pit. Whoops. Whoa, what you doing, mouse? Go to this pit, like right here, and auto-attack over the wall. But because like he wasn't confident where to go, he wasn't confident where he would be protected, he just kind of freaked out and wandered into the enemy team, which is not recommended. At least not recommended much. Or often. Or ever. Just remember, when you go for a team fight, it's very easy to see that your team is ahead, that your team is in a better position in some cases, but quite often, you may not notice what's really going on. In that case, that was Kog'Maw being forced to split off and not really realizing he could fight over this wall from this pit. If you are in a situation like that, if you're an AD carry and you don't know where to go, who to fight, the best recommendation is you just fight the tankiest guy close to you. Because if you go for those crazy dives, if you try to rush to the AD carry, what's going to happen is they're just going to take you out. They see his Kog'Maw, they're just going to be like, we can take him, we can kill him. If you try and go, you know, past 3 guys to kill that one guy, those 3 guys will kill you. Especially because you're Kog'Maw, you are someone everybody wants to kill. Like this. Kog'Maw's dead. Rise. Is he dead too? He's getting a lot of AoE damage out. He's getting a lot of AoE damage out. He's dead too. And this is the basis right now for Goon Team. It's all about the picks, all about the catches. And if they can keep starting fights like that, you know, just immediately taking someone out, coming out of nowhere with flashes and playful tricksters to take out someone like Sona, they can really be awesome. They just have to focus fights starting like that. They can't go for traditional 5v5s. Traditional 5v5s, it's going to be Sona ulting them, CCing them, and then they may never get to Kog'Maw. But if they just, you know, go for random picks non-stop, they might be able to go ahead and punish someone. Now, Fluky's team, they're not respecting wards. Goon Team is also barely respecting wards. They at least have Baron warded. It's a start. Normally you'd want wards like everywhere, or at least all the jungle entrances. Now, there's very little to say about this fight, except I don't think either side really knows how strong the other is. This is one of those situations where, you know, I think I would just fight it out too. Because, like, Jesus Christ, they've been alive for so long. I like how Volibear does run away at the last second. It's like, no, I'm not letting him get this kill. I'm not giving him that satisfaction. But, yeah, if you're ever in a situation like that where you're on their side of the map and your team just lost a bunch of people and you're in a 30-second fight with someone and because there's going to be another 30 more seconds, just run away. That was a 1-minute fight and I totally believe it because Volibear has no items for damage and Nunu only has a Sunfire Cape for damage and a Warmogs and a Warden's Veil. God damn, that's a very tanky Nunu. He has a giant spell too, going for a randos. This is the basis, though, for Goon Team. They go for the catch, they go for the burst, try and take out Sona very quickly. Not the target they want to go for, and then you kind of notice this starts a bit more like a traditional team fight. And all of a sudden, Fluky's team, they don't have Nunu, but they're not doing super badly. They are taking out Fizz. Rise stayed alive for a long time. Garen's able to go ahead and fix him up, but it's still a 3 for 3 with Kog'Maw making a 4 for 3. Can he get the ace? Can he get the ace? Garen, you're very susceptible to being killed. Garen, you're the manliest Garen out there. Kog'Maw, why aren't you turning an auto-attack? Never be afraid to auto-attack as an AD carry in a situation like that. I've seen a lot of people do that where they if you're taking damage and you can't escape, in that case the phage proc landed, then just turn and fight, turn and just man up, flex your muscles, and just spit things out with those flex muscles. In that case, I guess it would be tongue muscles flexing really hard. But that was a traditional team fight. As don't be like that. But that traditional team fight went in favor of Fluky's team. All of a sudden, they have this upper hand, and this is where I'd say you have to kind of learn the strengths of your team. Sometimes, like, you'll have a team that's really, really bad at straight-up team fighting. If that's the case, don't straight-up team fight, tell your team not to. Sometimes you have a team that's really good at catching people out of position. Sometimes you have a split-push team. Whatever it is, you have to see what works. Sometimes, you may not have a chance to win game before the game finishes. Sometimes, you'll have plenty of time like this game, and you have to say, alright, here's what you gotta do, guys. So in this case, the straight-up team fights, they're not working for the Goon team. And they don't really go for them. Now they're just going for these big catches. They're just, forcing the enemy team. Well, not really forcing the enemy team, but every time the enemy team splits up, they go for them. And what if you're Fluky's team? What do you have to say? Well, you can get really, really angry in team chat. Definitely a possibility. I believe this was 5 versus 5, so they could have been on Skype. You gotta tell your team, like, hey, if they're going for team fights, if they're going for catches, whatever they're going for, we gotta be ready to fight it. So in this case, this is all just catching people out of position with, the high mobility from Fizz, Garen, and Volibear. So if that's all a team is going for, you have to say, be on the lookout. Don't be out of position. They're gonna jump you. They're gonna go ahead, spin on you. They're gonna punch you in the face with an Alistar. They're gonna headbutt you, just knock you up, and you're dead, and you're screwed, and you're out. You're gone. I look at that rude GGWP from Fizz. You got nothing, Fizz. You got nothing. But this is on you, the player. You have to look. You have to say what works, what doesn't work. This is another team fight. This is a 5v4. This is a straight up team fight though, and look how it's going. It's working for Fluky's team. They're chasing people out. Now it's a 2-for-1 or a 1-for-1 in this team fight. Fizz lands his ultimate onto Nunu, who no one cares about. Kog'Maw rushes forward to auto attack for some reason, getting way too close to the enemy team and gets taken out. And why does this end so poorly in the end for Fluky's team? Well, they walked out and they fought away from their turret. Very unfortunate for them. It's okay though, because Rise is here to clean everybody up. Goodbye, Garen. Goodbye. But that was a Baron push. That was a Baron team fight in favor of the Goon team. That was still held 4v5 for the most part by Fluky's team. And why'd that work? Well, that was a traditional team fight. They just messed up when they came out here and everybody walked a bit too far forward. But I just want to emphasize, it is up to you to communicate. So, I mean, obviously, the pro team will have certain shot callers. For example, St. Vicious calls most of the shots on Curse. Reginald calls a lot of the shots on TSM. Fear, which is formerly MTW, which is formerly Monomaniac, which is formerly... Wait, no, I think it's Fear, then Monomaniac, then MTW, then Goose, then Atlantis team. If they had a problem for a long time, and it's been steadily improving, but no one would make calls. So I remember this was back in like March. I was watching Atlantis stream, and they saw a dragon, and they saw the enemy team doing dragon, and they're like, well, should we fight this? And nobody really said anything. And then they fought it and they lost. They tried to contest dragon, they could not. They were just not in a position to do so. And then it's like, well, that was a bad idea, and then they did it again. And it was just, once again, like, that was a bad idea. And they just didn't have anybody who called the shots. They just did, like, nobody was making commands, nobody was rallying the troops. And it is your goal, it is your position to rally the troops. So in that case, it is your job to say, Kog'Maw, stay the fuck back, Kog'Maw. Don't go out there. Because if not, if you don't do that, guess what? The enemy team gets to start a big team fight. The enemy ultimate gets to be huge, but it doesn't matter because the enemy team is still in your base, killing all of your dudes. And what do you do at this point? This is not Fluky's team losing because their team comp is bad, because their item purchases are bad, because like there's something weak about them. They're losing this because they're going out one by one. They're turning what would be a 5v5 team fight into a 1v5. You can't trap a fisherman, and they're getting wrecked for it. This is something that, with a lot of talk in team chat, could be enough. Don't talk in all chat. Don't do that. Don't give your battle plan away in team chat. Because finally, like every team fight that has happened for the past 20 minutes that's been in favor of Goon Team has been a 4v5 or just a situation where Kog'Maw or Ryze or Sona, everybody except Nunu really, because Nunu doesn't die, was out of position or dead. And if this is happening, if that's how you're losing your games, that is something that it's not necessarily easy to remedy, but communication is key. This is something that's more important when you're playing with 5 friends, of course, because then you have your voice chat. In this case, I believe it's, like I said, 5v5. They should have their voice chat. They should have their way to say, hey, fellow nerds, fellow champion summoners, let us not split push. Let us group up. Now they're finally going as 5 down mid lane. This is perfect. This is exactly what they need to do. This is how they can win a game, if they're all grouped up. But now the enemy team has a gold advantage. Now the enemy team had a chance to come back from their horrible early game. Can they still win these fights? This is really scary right now. And his ultimate did ridiculously high damage. Here comes the rest of Goon Team. Can they clean up? Can they fight this? Yeah, they can. They're able to just win the fight. Ryze trying to escape now. I believe Christoph had his headbutt pulverized up, but I don't know if he's confident with the combo, so just go ahead, let Volibear toss him back instead. There you go. Dunked in the face, yeah. But what went wrong there? The enemy team, well, they have a very scary Garen and a very scary Fizz, and they just got all their AoE damage off. But they took Mastered away. But what really went wrong was just, communication mistakes. Players just not knowing really what to do. And that's something that, any player on the enemy team at this point could have just said, yeah, we probably should have grouped up now. And they were probably thinking this during the game. But don't be afraid to talk. Don't be afraid to say, hey, wait, no, guys, don't do the dumb thing. Do the smart thing. Do the better thing. Like, this happens all the time. And I know you as a player felt this, where you think something's a bad idea, and then you don't say anything. And then, let's say it's a bad Baron, and you don't type it, you don't ping it, you don't say it, do anything to stop it. And then you go for a bad Baron, you get picked off, and you lose. And then you're just like, well, that sucks. It is your fault. Not entirely your fault, but it is your fault for that mistake happening, for not even trying to stop it. Sometimes your team won't listen to you. And if you do, go ahead. Like, right now, there are a lot of retreat pings coming out. That means, you know what, that is a good idea. That was Fluky's team trying to defend themselves, trying to keep themselves alive. Now the retreat pings are coming in from Goon Team. Goon Team, can they escape this? No, because they must have flashed up over the wall. But once the communication starts going in, like, you see them start winning, you see them start coming out ahead. But I just want to reinforce that if there's a bad call being made and you do nothing to stop it, it is your fault. It is your fault for letting that bad call happen. It is your fault for letting that bad Baron happen. This is something that applies a lot in life. It is not just for bad Barons. This is the bystander effect, where it's like you're just gonna say there are 4 other people in this game. One of them should know it's a bad idea. Okay, one of them makes the call. The other 3 shouldn't be able to say it's a bad idea. One of them will call it. No, they won't. I mean, there are much, much more horrific and worse cases of this in real life, but this happens in League of Legends, and this happens all the goddamn time. How many times have you seen a streamer say, I don't like this, and something bad happens? I know you've thought it in your head too. I know you've had just that natural instinct, this is a bad idea, and it was. Now, gold is 58,000 to 58,000. Goon Team, I guess 50, let's go 59, round up to 58, so there's a bit more of a difference. Goon Team, they had the Baron control. They got the last kill. They're going to get Baron. Fluky's team, they have an inhibitor down. They are in a worse spot. But they do have Kog'Maw. They do have the late game champion. They do have Ryze, the late game champion. And they do have Nunu to back up that late game champion of Kog'Maw. And also, I mean, Sona's going to be a lot of AoE CC. And Olaf is going to be a very tanky force if you can get to the back. If you can get to Fizz and take him out. I had to realize for a sec there was no backline. How does this game end? How do they finish this off? What is the final move? Who's gonna make it? Who's gonna make the big play? It's once again the catch on the rise. It is Goon Team now ahead, but this is a big team fight. You know, Kog'Maw's in the back. Can he get those auto attacks off? Can he get those kills? No. Fluky's team going down left and right. And Goon Team, starting the game a million goddamn kills behind, are able to come back and recover from what is player error. There are 110 kills in this game. It is 57 to 53. And I wouldn't be surprised if someone managed to kill themselves in Goon Team right now. Possibly the fountain, possibly the tower. I know it's about to die. I still think it could happen. It's just bum rush Sona. Good ult. Very good ult. I hope you enjoyed this game. But oh, Jarvan. I just want to reinforce that. I just want to say, you know, there's a lot of things I talked about this episode. This was a very general episode, and I'm okay with that. It was fun. What are some of the things I talked about, though, just to quickly review? Your mentality when you see that guy at low HP, don't go for the chase if you can't get it. Now, obviously, it's easy to say that, but don't always assume you have to go for someone at 50 HP. Sometimes they're going to get away. When you get that nagging feeling in the back of your head that they're going to escape, they might be going to escape. If there is a bigger call, if there is something wrong with your team in general, tell them. Tell them how they can improve. Be nice about it. Don't be an asshole. I mean, you know, being an asshole might work sometimes. It might get you reported other times, but it's not going to hurt you to go ahead and say, hey, team, hey, guys, let's try this for once. For example, this last game, if they'd said, hey, guys, let's group up and push down mid a lot earlier before Fizz got scary, before the enemy team got scary, this could have been a very, very easy win for Fluky's team. This should not have gone on as long as it did, and it should have been a pretty big stomp in favor of the red team. I'm trying to think of anything else going that I mentioned. Warmog, Sunfire Cape ran to its Nunu's really damn hard to kill. But if you are behind, never lose confidence. I mean, if you're feeling bad, if you lose hope, if you really do not think you can win, then you can vote no or yes on a surrender vote. But I always vote no, and I've come back from many games where I thought, man, we're so far behind, but we can still win. And the truth is, with the way the game works right now, tankiness is a bit hard to come by. I mean, that Nunu got built up very fast, but he still ended up getting shredded pretty quickly in the end. So because this game is very damage-oriented right now, what really matters is better positioning. Because you catch someone, they have high damage but low HP, you still kill them quickly. And more and more characters are kind of going towards that role of being very, very bursty, very, very squishy. But goddamn, if they get their damage off, they will destroy you. And that's all for today. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. It was a bit different. Happy holidays once more. And yeah, adios, folks.